Hello there, my name is Matt from Fintelics, and today we're going to talk about Hyperledger Fabric. What is Hyperledger Fabric? And why should you choose it? You're probably wondering, what is Hyperledger Fabric? Hyperledger Fabric is a supporting structure to a blockchain, intended as a starting point for creating apps and solutions of things working together in many different parts. This is known as modular architecture. The reason you want this type of modular architecture is so that you can add parts, make changes to some of the parts, or delete parts without affecting the parts you aren't interacting with. You can think of this as the homepage of a website. Or as a website. At the website you have a bunch of different tabs at the top. You might have the homepage, you might have About Me, and Contact. With modular architecture, all of these things are independent of each other, so you can make changes to the About Me without affecting the Homepage tab or the Contact tab. You can remove the About Me tab without affecting the Homepage tab or the Contact tab. Or you can add a whole new tab for your blog and it won't affect any of the three sections. This is why modular architecture is an important part of the Hyperledger Fabric. So now that we know what Hyperledger Fabric is, why choose Hyperledger Fabric? Well, the first reason is because, unlike the common blockchain, Hyperledger Fabric allows you to make private transactions as well as confidential contracts, which are pretty important when it comes to practical business use cases. A second reason to choose Hyperledger Fabric is because the foundation of the Hyperledger Fabric makes it more scalable and secure for practical business applications on a blockchain. Also, all the members involved with your Hyperledger Fabric Foundation have to have permissioned and known verifiable identities. Another reason to use Hyperledger Fabric is because of the plug-and-play use it allows, which means various elements of the Hyperledger Fabric work immediately once it's enabled, so that the user doesn't have to make any adjustments, they don't need to recreate code, they have an existing template to work with, which makes it easy for integration and reuse. Transactions are accepted only when verified participants endorse and validate the payment. This helps stop contradictory or incompatible transactions from being made. The Hyperledger Fabric has improved scalability and performance because it only sends simple instructions through the blockchain, such as input and output, for example. Also, the endorsers and the committers are the only ones that have access to the network of the Hyperledger Fabric, and less members means better security. Hyperledger Fabric transactions are broken down into three simple parts. One is the chain code, which comprises the processing and agreement of the transaction. Two is the transaction order. And three is validation and commitment of the transaction. So breaking it down into these three simple parts makes it easier for the blockchain to run smoother, to have better scalability and better performance. And on Hyperledger Fabric, your private data stays private and is only known to those who need to know. So what this means, for example, is if you want to make a private transaction on a common blockchain, everyone involved in the movement of that product will see all the information involved in it. But on Hyperledger Fabric, only those who need the information, such as the transaction amount, will get that information. So hopefully this video helped you understand a bit about what Hyperledger Fabric is and maybe why you should choose it. Again, my name is Matt from Fintelics. Thank you for watching.